Check 1 2, check 1 2. Okay, here we go. Welcome to the Catalyst Podcast, raw, real, and unedited. My name is Jason. You can find Catalyst at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, TikTok. You can find the podcast anywhere you can find your podcast. We do this through Spreaker. All right. Catalyst has the power to create change. We hope that's what this podcast will do. We're going to talk about the catalyst, that turning point, the journey, the lesson, and beyond. Welcome to episode 15. Again, we're continuing on with my journey through cancer, and we were talking last episode about the passing of my dad, and how talking about this was a real challenge for me. Towards the end of his time here on Earth, due to my relationship with his wife, it strained communication between he and I, and especially with my son. I did have that opportunity earlier in the month of October. This is October 2019 to see him, and I didn't take that chance. I didn't take that opportunity because of my feelings for his wife and what she had done. So when he did pass, and she didn't give any of the family, a chance to say goodbye to him. It was just a cremation, and that was it. Which, in a way, looking at it now, it's kind of ironic. This kind of kicked off a downslide for me mentally and for me physically. And I look back on it also too. I look back at my son and all the stuff that he went through with me and the cancer, seeing the relationship between his dad and his mom, seeing what's happening to his dad, not being able to communicate with his grandfather. He's a tough kid. So that Saturday, because I believe my dad passed on a Thursday, and I got home from a trip. Because I found out on the trip, and I told him that Friday morning. We went to the beach, and he kind of filled my heart, because as we're in the ocean, he's kind of standing in the ocean, and he's splashing around. He's standing up, and he's going, "I love you, Grandpa Bob. I love you, Grandpa Bob. I miss you." And it was so touching, and I'm sure, it meant a world to him, my dad, to see that. The one thing it did do, it kind of brought me and my Uncle Steve a little closer. It took us a few years to kind of finally meet again for the first time since I was a child, probably Gabriel's age. But we were able to communicate. And, my dad wasn't a perfect man, but he was a good man. He was I always referred to my mom and my dad. She was bad cop, he was good cop. To kind of give you a scenario, like, I remember trying to do math, and I was always had a challenge with math. I was never really a math person, and I saw this when I was working with Gabriel, and he was a kid, and how I started to react was the way that my mom reacted. And how she would be very short-tempered, and, there would be lots of yelling and banging and hitting, and then my dad would finally come home, and he'd be so calm, and I would be able to get the work done, which would frustrate my mother even more. But he was always like that. He was always gentle. He was always, when I did wrong, I did wrong. But, he would be the dad that we would, the kids would come over to the yard, and he would be playing softball. He'd be the pitcher, or he'd be the quarterback, and the only harsh memory I have, or I can think of, when we had school trips, he would be one of the dads, just like I was. Like, when Gabriel had events, I was always there. I always went on the class trips. I was, was the one dad with all the moms. But I remember, there was the only one piece. There was one piece that I saw him in a negative way, and it was something that I really opened my eyes about a year after his passing. There was a situation where I felt like he and my mom were trying to do something nefarious, and I'll kind of talk a little bit more later on, because it was really an eye-opening. It was one of the catalysts that really kind of opened me up and put me on this new path. But it happened in the subways of New York, in Manhattan, and I just remember my reaction to it, and I felt like I was being told to do something I shouldn't have been told to do, and I just remember the fear that transpired with it, and that was it. When my mom and my dad divorced, what I was being told, I felt, I needed to defend my mother because she was betrayed. But I wasn't upset with him. In fact, I remember we had moved, once the divorce happened, we moved from West Scranton to Jessup. And my dad, I think it was like at 4th or 5th grade, he brought a card, and my teacher brought it in and gave it to me, and I showed my mom. And I remember my mom taking the card, ripping it up, and telling me, write this down, that you don't want anything from him. I'm like, it's really not true. It's not true. I want to be able to see him. Why can't I see him? Why can't I talk to him? But the Italian nature prevailed, and I never was able to do that until after I got older, And I don't think it was until into my 30s that I reconnected with him, to be quite honest. But I was so glad I did. And I was so glad he got to meet my son. And I was glad we were able to reconnect despite how off-putting his wife was. And, it's something that I'm working on. It's something I'm trying to forgive. I haven't fully forgiven, but I'm much better when it comes to her. She's since then sent some pieces for him, or from him, some pictures of him, some pictures of my grandfather, Muhammad, with family members in it, some of his collectible stuff. He collected different kind of baseball cards and everything. It seems like she's kept his Ed Kranepool baseball. Again, if whatever the will was, I really don't care. And in fact, I was even going to return any of the things that she did give me. But there were some other pieces. There's a bracelet, a Jewish pendant bracelet, and some other pieces. And she wrote a letter, kind of apologizing, never apologizing about, what she did, but apologizing that he and I didn't have that much time together, or wish we had more. And it's a process that I'm really trying to work on, in forgiving her. And in fact, the last time I was in Pennsylvania, which was during not that long ago, my mom's funeral, I was going to stop, but I don't even think she's there right now, to be quite honest. I think she moved away from that house and she's somewhere else. But I was thinking about it, and just being able to talk and let go of it all. And this was a catalyst for kind of a downturn for me, as we'll talk about in the next episode, of a few things that transpire, that being one of them, my dad's passing, and a few other things that come down the road to bring back something that I thought was going to be in my past for a long time. But for now, this is the Catalyst Podcast. My name is Jason. It's raw, it's real, it's unedited. This is episode 15. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. You can get the podcast wherever you can get them. I do this through Spreaker. Catalyst has the power to create change. We hope that's what this podcast will do. Thank you for listening to episode 15. We'll see you on episode 16. Thank you for listening to the Catalyst Podcast. Go be great.